Hey everybody, it's Keith Saarloos, and you are now listening to Crazy Country, Hey everybody, this is Keith Saarloos, and today we are talking on Chopping It Up with Carlisle Eubanks, a kid from right here in Santa Ynez Valley who went from running trails to running them, to writing them, to directing films that hit Sundance and beyond. You might know him from The Signal or Crypto, but today we're going to talk about his new film, Broke, which is starring Wyatt Russell, Tom Skerritt, and Dennis Quaid. And absolutely, I've watched the whole thing, and it absolutely smells like the Valley. So a builder of stories, a climber of mountains, and one of our own. Let's get into it. So this is Chopping It Up. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Well, you can say that tongue in cheek, but let's be honest.
No,
right?
it's sincerely. Anybody who's willing to put me on their platform to talk about my little movie, it's a true honor. I'm very, very humbled.
Oh, I'm beyond humbled. Thank you. So you were born and raised in Santa Ynez Valley, correct?
Correct. I mean, I was technically born in LA, but we moved here when I was 1 and went to Los Olivos kindergarten through 8th grade, and then went to the high school.
Go Spartans.
Yep, Spartans, from a Spartan to a pirate. Yep.
So you born and raised in the Santa Ynez Valley. How, for everybody who thinks music's going to be on, and now we're interviewing one of our own, you have had an incredible journey. I mean, the fact that from being born and raised, let's just say raised and born in Santa Ynez Valley, to making movies, writing, directing with your brother a little bit. Correct.
Yep. William. Yep.
William. Take us through the beginning part of your life in the Santa Ynez Valley.
Yeah.
How you guys found it.
Yeah.
And then how did you reach beyond the valley's walls and start making movies?
Yeah. I think like our story, my story, whatever it is, it probably sounds a lot like a lot of other people who want to become filmmakers.
Yeah.
You start by just making home videos.
Absolutely.
And doing like makeshift special effects and, just messing around, which is something my brother and I did from a very early age. And then we were lucky enough to be neighbors, as you know, with the Chamberlains, back when, Willie was running it, and then Fred. And they were so permissive with us. Like,
they are an
shot
amazing family.
So many movies and short films and just you name it. They were so generous with their ranch and their resources. So yeah, it was just always like a hobby, which becomes a passion. And I didn't know I wanted to make films professionally. I went to college on the East Coast to study English. I went on like a athletic scholarship. I was a cross country runner and a track runner. That's how I got into a good school. And
every Saarloos has a little bit of that story,
Yeah, but I leveraged it. I guess I had some kind of intelligence because I leveraged what I was good at to go to somewhere to get the best education I could. So I studied English with like some really great heavy hitters in the sort of East Coast literati, I guess you'd call them. Like, people who work for the, New York Review of Books, and just people who were old enough to have actually studied and worked with Robert Frost.
Really?
Yep. Bill Pritchard was a professor of mine, a great literary critic. This might be kind of boring, but I remember the first paper I ever wrote for him. He didn't use a computer. He ran your paper through a typewriter, and he would type his notes in the margins.
Amazing.
And then the first paper I ever wrote for him, I got back, and it was a real sort of a rude awakening coming from Santa Ynez, which had incredible teachers, but, there's a little bit of a sheltering.
Yeah. You're in the big leagues, bud.
So I got my first paper back, and it just said banal.
So did you have to look up banal?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
I looked it up and I thought, oh boy, I am not in Kansas anymore.
Absolutely.
And to fast forward, my final paper, I'm not spicing this up for, I'm not shaping this for radio, but my final paper with him as a senior, I wrote a a review of a book. That was the assignment. And I remember I got it back, and the only thing he wrote was a distinguished piece of literary criticism.
Do you still
I
have
both.
That? Absolutely
I have
magnificent.
Both.
I love it.
If I kept anything from college, it was those 2 papers, and it was a real sort of like journey. It showed my journey.
Absolutely.
It was a really hard school, but I made the most of it. So long story long, I leveraged my athletic abilities into a way to sort of get better intellectually.
Yeah.
And at the same time, sort of feeding back into the movie stuff, my brother, William, was trying to break into the film industry. He started out
like one, I won't say skirting laws, but it was like, there was a point where it's like
to direct something, and I had a degree in English. And he said, "Hey, do you want to help me write this screenplay?"
Yeah,
which
when you're
I said yes.
Yeah, when your back's against the wall and you can call your brother, that's a pretty nice thing.
Yeah. So we wrote a screenplay. I learned on the job, and that movie became The Signal, which went to Sundance. And I thought, oh man, like this isn't so hard.
Great.
Yeah, little did I know.
Yeah, little did you know. I mean,
and that was like.
You hit a home run, the first time up to bat, man.
Well, yeah, at least a triple. Yeah. I don't know. But I was humbled very quickly. It's not that easy. So that movie came out, probably like 14 years ago now, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not very good at math, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's been a long, hard road to get to this point. So, I mean, it got me in the door.
Yep.
It introduced me to people, but the process of getting from that, where you're a co-writer, to getting to a place where you can direct and write your own movies it's long and it's hard, and you have to, sort of build the relationships and the trust. And each little movie between The Signal and now was like a stepping stone of finding, they say you find your people, you find your tribe. So from each one of those movies, you sort of collect somebody or a couple people to sort of get you to the next one.
So for everybody listening, and you're thinking you're going to hear music, right now we're interviewing, geez, Keith, get it out, Carlisle Eubanks about his new movie, Broke. Carlisle grew up in the Santa Ynez Valley, and as a person who's seen this movie, every single person who is listening to this, go buy it. Go buy it on Prime, go buy it on Apple TV, wherever you stream things. Go home tonight, buy this thing, sit back, and give yourself an hour and a half, because every single frame of this movie is a piece of art. So is this the first movie that you wrote and directed?
Yes. I mean, of course I've written other things.
Yeah.
I've written some things, by myself, but it's the first thing that I've both written solo and directed.
So this is your baby.
It is. Yeah.
How long has this movie been rattling around in your head?
Oh my gosh. Well over 10 years.
Really?
Yeah. From the time when I first wrote it.
Well, maybe we should tell people what it's about.
Yeah.
Go for that.
So the sort of log line is a cowboy wakes up in a freak spring blizzard. No idea how he got there.
Yep.
And
we have no idea.
And we have no idea how he got there. And he has only what's in his truck and trailer to survive. And he's in pretty rough shape. And as he sort of dips in and out of consciousness, trying to get through it, you see little vignettes, little sort of broken vignettes of his life, his fading rodeo career, his family life. You get little vignettes of his life that all are on a trajectory towards how he got to this messed up situation.
And I got to, just watching the first, I stopped the movie to look, and I figured the first, and tell me I'm wrong here, it seems like the first 15 to 20 minutes of this movie, right? You're telling a story without words.
Right.
And watching each piece of it, I go, man, I hope I'm not offending you here, because there's probably 2 pages.
No,
Of words for the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie.
Well, yeah, because, Wyatt Russell, who's the star of the film, a lot of the movie he spends alone and by himself.
Yeah.
So, he...
And Wyatt Russell played the second Captain America.
Correct.
And
he's in Thunderbolts right now.
Thunderbolts right now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
We're just talking about the cast, because the cast, by the way, unbelievable.
Yeah, really good cast. Everyone that came aboard was very passionate and just gave what I felt were very subtle but powerful performances. But yeah, Wyatt, just his ability to like emote without words and to communicate that story. I think it's something that even when I go back and watch the movie, maybe I didn't even fully appreciate it while we were shooting, like just kind of how subtle and powerful his performance was.
It was watching, for me anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to interject here, but watching that movie, how my introduction to him is, superhero movies, I guess, right?
Right.
And where there's a lot of words and bangs and, things like that. But watching this movie, I went from like, oh, okay, to, oh man, look at this guy.
He's really good. The two things that I saw him in that I was really impressed by, was he was in an episode of Black Mirror called Playtest, which was probably what got me hooked on Black Mirror. I remember a buddy of mine showed me that episode and said, you got to watch this show. And this was years ago. Yeah. This is before Broke.
Yep.
But I watched that episode and I was like, holy moly, this guy's really good. And then he was in a show called Lodge 49, which is a really kind of quirky show on AMC. It's not on AMC anymore, but it was so good. And he's just so super interesting. And neither one of those roles are really that similar to this. He's just really good, and he's a very natural actor. Yeah.
It didn't seem like he was acting.
No, and I think that's just comes down to like the right man for the right job. Yeah. A lot of directing is just good casting and sort of trusting your gut on if this person is who you sort of felt or saw in your mind's eye. Because I didn't picture anybody when I was writing it. But then when I saw Wyatt and he was super interested and he was very passionate about the script, he just seemed to fit. And, luckily my gut was proven right, because when we were making the movie, it's just becomes a process of like watching the performances and just calling BS. And,
totally.
And then, when we're shooting it, it just wasn't hardly any of that,
Got it.
And you're like, okay.
Well, just watching it and, like we were saying, the first 20 minutes where it's just brutal,
right?
Just brutal.
Yeah.
And watching
it's all real. We shot it in a blizzard.
We
chased the weather. We shot it in 2 parts. We had 2 schedules. So we went to middle of nowhere, Montana in February. And, we had a polar vortex, which we didn't, obviously you can't plan for that. And on a very small budget, you're just kind of at the mercy of the weather. And we got lucky. We had a polar vortex and some...
Made that 100%.
You can tell the style.
Oh, there is such a... Like, your signature is something...
Cameras were shutting down. Like, we had to strap, like, hand warmers to batteries. And
really?
We had no star trailers, so, getting warm between takes was sitting in our vehicles, which were idling right off camera. It
Keep the truck idling.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Make sure your battery is charged.
Yeah, very much
and
so.
Your alternator isn't broken.
So if you're listening on the radio right now, we are interviewing Carlisle Eubanks about his new movie Broke on Chopping It Up on Crazy Country 105.9. Watching this movie, the great part was his performance, and then not pun intended possibly, but then as the movie breaks itself into different pieces and goes back and forth in time. And you're seeing, what is giving this guy the will to live, right? And then all of a sudden, Quaid comes on, and you go, "Holy cow! Whoa!" It's a big star, of course. Yeah. Like I know him from Reagan and everything else, which he did film locally as well. And then it's just hit after hitter after hitter. Yeah. Who it just seems like a contest,
totally,
of who can act the pants off this movie.
Yeah, one thing I really love about Dennis in this movie particularly is I felt like his performance was like really subtle. Oftentimes when we think of Dennis Quaid, he's so charming and he's so lovable. And in a way he kind of is in this. He's obviously a little more of a hard-nosed dude, but I felt like his performance was like very subtle. Like he was really... he kind of knew what the assignment was, and he plays a hay farmer, and he just understood what I was trying to do, which was to make something very naturalistic and something very realistic. And I think in the end, you kind of buy that he's a hay farmer who's worried about, what.
So we've had to let me pass it up.
Pay the bill, whatever it is.
Well, go back to the kid, what their kids are doing with their life.
Yeah.
Right. At some point, maybe in any guy's life, and I love movies. We watch probably, 5 movies a week at our house. Right.
Oh, that's so great.
We'll just consume everything.
Yeah.
I had a pretty substantial collection at one point.
Oh yeah.
But we watch a lot of movies, and having you in is exciting because having watched it, I'm like, oh baby, this is great.
Yeah,
Oh my
gosh,
gosh,
that's awesome. Thank you.
But when watching him at some point in every movie, if you're a guy watching it, you go from being the kid in the movie to the dad in the movie.
Yep.
And you can watch this movie, and I could hear words that he was saying that, and it's a testament to what you wrote, right? Where it's like you're concerned about your kids, and you're concerned about the decisions you've made, and you're concerned that they're going to make better decisions in the future than maybe you did.
Correct.
And that relationship comes. It is like staring into the sun.
Yeah, that's the core of the movie.
Yeah.
That's truly the core of the movie, because when people have asked, like, where was the seed for this idea, or where's the seed for this movie? Yeah. It doesn't feel like a seed to me. It feels like a cloud, like a big cloud that I was, and probably still am, in a lot of the time, which is, what am I doing with my life? Did I make the right choices? Am I going down the right road? And I think that's something probably every man experiences, or every person experiences,
Absolutely.
Man or woman, at a certain point in their life. And when I was writing it, obviously I was in the thick of it. And so meditating on that big question, the task became like, all right, well, who fills the story? Like, who are the characters? And so it became a lot of like people I know, stories from my own life. And it just became like a collage of very personal things.
It's probably why it feels so real.
Yeah, it is. I think a big part of it is a little bit of a window into my soul. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's up for the audience to decide, but it is extremely personal.
And who played his wife and his mom?
Mary McDonnell, who stands with Fist.
Yes.
That
was her?
Dances with Wolves, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's really great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah.
And his brother was played by
Johnny Birchtold, who is such a great guy. Really, really, really talented young actor.
Wow.
He's super great. I remember when he auditioned, there were a lot of great options, but he just had such a great audition. And then we did a chemistry test between Wyatt and Johnny, to sort of see how they fit and gelled as brothers. And it was just like, oh yeah, these guys, they could be brothers.
And so I'm blanking on his name. Starts with an S. The gentleman in Montana.
Tom Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt.
Yeah.
Skerritt. Like all of a sudden, this guy comes on the screen.
Tom is great. I mean, it's again.
And what movies has Tom been in?
He's been in Alien. He was in River Runs Through It.
Yes.
He was in Top Gun. He's a legend. Again, it's just when you're directing a movie, and especially your first one, sometimes I think maybe you take it for granted that you're working with people who have been doing this since long before I was born.
Unbelievable.
And have been in movies that I grew up on.
Yep.
And it's you try not to think about it too much. You just sort of work with them.
Does it feel
and they're very
surreal?
professional. Like, these guys are pros.
Yeah.
So, none of them walked on thinking they're big shots or whatever. Everyone was there to do their job and, just threw their heart into the movie.
The one thing that when I was watching the movie, I came to realize that there's only, maybe 7, 8 people or characters.
It's a very, very small cast.
Very small cast. And there's
a very intimate, small movie.
Intimate is the right word.
Yeah, it's very intimate. It's very, big feelings, big emotions, big questions. It's intimate, but then it's set against a very broad landscape.
There's probably only 6 times in that movie that the other members of the cast interact with each other. Mm-hmm. And watching that, you really feel like you're on this, solo journey along with this guy. Yeah. It was really quite beautiful.
The point of view of the film is a character piece. It's a character study. Mm-hmm. So when you are filming it and when you're writing it and then when you're filming it, your North Star becomes, how does like the visual language of the movie feed back into the idea that this is about him, you know? And even to the question of like, how do you shoot the flashbacks? And this was always just about him and his inner struggle. Yeah. Which isn't to say the supporting characters aren't extremely important. Oh. But they are there to sort of support his journey.
They're the reason he keeps going.
From a storytelling perspective. Yeah. I mean, they are their own sort of people and have their own things that are very important. But ultimately, the objective of this movie was to tell true Brandywine's story.
Right. So when I was watching this movie, and I hope you take this in the most positive form, you know, it felt to me like a modern version of The Revenant, right? Which is a movie I love, right? Because there's how many different stories out there to be told, but one of them is just overcoming adversity.
Right, correct.
Right. Yeah. And from the first shot of this movie. Yeah. And I don't want, you can give away what you want to give. I'm not giving away anything. No, right? No. Yeah. But from the first shot of this movie and even the title, right? When you see Broke and then you see the billboard, if you will. Yeah. And it's a guy on a horse, you know, breaking a horse, Bronx, that kind of thing. Because this movie really is a Western at heart.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And I'm sorry that I'm saying what your movie is.
Oh, please. No, I'm much more interested in what other people have to say.
Got it.
Than I am the things I've said in my own mind for 10 years.
The word broke seems like the way you shot the movie, how the story is broken up into parts. You know,
I'm glad. Yeah, that's 100% accurate read.
Great. How the character is broke, how he's broke physically, he's broke mentally, he's broke financially.
Correct.
And then he gets into a spot where you get all these flashbacks from his dad, and you get all these things that are like relationships and everything else. And this guy is up against it. Like, this is it. And it's like, well, even some of the shots where he's getting out of the truck or he's putting on a boot, right? He's taking the same breaths as he did while he was sitting on the back of that Bronx.
Correct.
Like before.
Yep.
And then, you know, and
that's all intentional. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, because it's whenever you do flashbacks in a movie, that's like, it can be the kiss of death if you don't do it right. So making sure that the match cuts were there so that like you give people sort of like an auditory or a visual bridge to go back and forth. Not only does that make it like a little more stylistically pleasing, but it helps people kind of bridge into the past. So that's one sort of problem when you're doing flashbacks you have to be very intentional about. But also, you know, making sure that those flashbacks and the present, so the A and the B story, making sure that braids up really nicely and that people aren't getting lost in the chronology. Yep. And so, we were very intentional from the script to like the storyboards and in making sure that, like you said, like the breathing, match cutting, like that was all very, very planned. To make sure that people weren't getting lost in the story.
I think you did an excellent job, in all honesty. I mean, just having watched it and enjoyed it, right? Yeah. So if you're listening, this is Crazy Country 105.9, and we're interviewing Carlisle Eubanks about his new movie, Broke. What else? I mean, we talked about a little bit of you making it and things like that. What nods do you have in the Valley in this? You were talking about little bits and pieces of stories of other people, and maybe there isn't a bunch, but
that's a good question. I think you've stumped me on that one. I think
well, you're really telling the story of a farmer in general.
I mean, okay, so one example, actually, I can think of one is the hay squeeze. Yeah. You know.
By the way, I loved it when they're sitting back to back and they're kind of talking.
The hay squeeze. Okay, that's a really strong nod to growing up around here.
Not many people know what a hay squeeze is.
They don't know,
honestly.
and
that it drives both directions, correct, and everything else.
And I always thought that's so cinematic.
Yes.
And there's something comic about it potentially. Yeah. You know, like the dad's looking one way and the son's looking the other way, and doing sort of like lewd gestures at his brother's driving the semi with the hay on it.
And when his brother's like, "I got it," that is every kid ever talking to his dad.
But it's like the hay squeeze to me was like, You remember those Volvo station wagons with the way back?
Oh, I sat in those.
The bench seat that looks out the back?
Absolutely.
And you're trying not to make eye contact with
and you're terrified
people in traffic.
when your mom hits the brake.
That was kind of like, I was like, what's the cowboy farmer version of that? And I thought, oh, hey, squeeze, because now usually like the driver just switches to the other seat to operate the squeeze. But I thought, how funny would that be if the dad's driving forward and the son has to awkwardly look backwards.
But it's exactly the narrative of the movie.
That to me, like just off the top of my head, was a big...
Come in and feel like, okay, that, I'm fully satisfied. I'm either getting it to go, something.
It's very kind of like, it's a little bit esoteric. But what's cool about it is now it's like on the big screen and people will like know what a hay squeeze is.
But if you're a kid who grew up in a rural part of the world, right?
Yeah.
Not only you know exactly what that thing is,
Yep.
you've been in that seat and you've sat across from your dad at that seat and had that conversation.
That was and I don't know how interested people are in this, but that was a funny, I guess, piece of equipment for the movie to try to track down because the producers on the film also had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And were starting to get annoyed with me that I was like so insistent.
Yeah.
And I was
you wanted green M&Ms, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah.
And well, it wasn't even that. It was like the scene won't work unless you have one.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no comedy, there's no anything if you don't have that very particular setup of one seat forward, one seat back. So it was funny, like just scouring and I learned that Montana, especially the region we were in, does not use a lot of hay squeezes.
Yeah.
So we drove one up. We found somebody in northern Idaho, Highland Hay, no joke. And they were so stoked.
Yeah.
They loved it. They drove a giant truck and trailer full of hay and a hay squeeze up.
Amazing.
Just for us to use.
That's awesome.
And man, there was also kind of almost a degree of like, it gave me a sense of comfort to be around things I'm so familiar with.
Sure.
And as a first-time director, you're always looking for those advantages, like things that the people around you who are more experienced maybe don't know. So like rodeos, farming, horses, even like being in the snow. Yeah. Like is all stuff I'm extremely familiar with and very comfortable with. And I think as a first-time director, it became my sort of armor that I could wear.
You built the nest.
Yeah. And they, they were looking to me as the expert, which is what you have to be the expert, nobody, even if you don't know more, they can't know that really, and so you have to be confident about something. And those were all things that I was extremely confident in because I just grew up around it.
So when I was watching it, that was the moment for me anyhow, when I realized that this wasn't a Yellowstone, where it's like, it's cowboy and hat,
right?
But is this really a show? Is this authentic? Right. And as soon as I saw the hay squeeze and I saw them arguing about putting something on, I'm like, oh yeah, this is legit.
Yeah. I always say, if people ask me about Yellowstone, I always say like Yellowstone ran so that I could walk.
Yeah. Well,
it's in its own, like Yellowstone is a phenomenon and it's done wonders for awareness with the Western way of life. But my movies, like, again, it's intimate. It's a little more like particular about like details and small things and quieter things, while also having a lot of action with the rodeo and the survival stuff. But yeah, it's a slightly different flavor. But my hat is off to Yellowstone. I don't even think I would have been able to make this movie if Yellowstone hadn't proven that people care about this kind of stuff.
As a huge fan of the spaghetti westerns, just in general.
Oh yeah,
and Yellowstone is that palatable thing that you can eat, and you're like, oh yeah, great. And it got a lot of cowboys' wives into that, and then all of a sudden it was hip to be a cowboy. If you've ever heard the song More Cowboy Than Me, it's one of my favorite songs.
Oh yeah, that one's great. That one's great. I actually heard that just recently, and I was like, this is great. They've caught on.
We only got a couple minutes left. This is your humble brag portion. Okay, just so you know, and everybody hates it, but I'm going to make you do it. Give everybody a reason to go watch this movie. I mean, if they're listening this long, most everybody, by the way, who's listening to this goes out to their car and sits in their car because they don't have a radio in the house, right? Yeah. So tonight, I mean, when this is coming out, it's already available. There's no reason not to watch this, and there's no reason not to support a homegrown hero. because you did the impossible, right? There's a lot of kids that grow up in this valley, and I think it's part of what this show is, right?
Yeah.
Is kids who grow up in this valley and they think the world ends at the top of the pass or in Santa Maria or wherever. And
Surf Beach.
It ends at Surf Beach. It really does.
It really does actually end at Surf Beach.
It does.
Too many sharks in the water.
I know. It's like you go out, you got a 1 in 10 chance of getting hit. But one of the things I love living here now, like when we moved here 25 years ago, we had water and electricity, and now
and a Blockbuster.
And a Blockbuster. And the one about
R.I.P. Yeah. Man, that was a big loss. First Blockbuster and then Parks Plaza. Come on, guys.
Come on, baby.
We got to bring it back.
Well, I still follow the last Blockbuster on Twitter, which is an excellent find.
Yeah.
But now one of the things I always love is every single kid in this valley gets to see rockets take off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
30 miles away.
Yeah, they rattle our windows once a week.
Exactly.
Holy
right.
moly.
But that, I think subconsciously, like I've never seen anybody walk on the moon. And I think our generation lacks because of it. But seeing rockets take off all the time, and now hopefully hearing your story, right? And hearing that you can leave here,
right?
You can do something real big,
right?
Make a big splash, chase down your dreams, drag it home,
right?
And make something you're proud of. So
yeah,
tell everybody all about it.
Yeah, you say humble brag. I honestly just mainly feel humbled by the process because it was not easy. It wasn't glamorous. It was a lot of hard work and a lot of rejection before, during, and even after.
Yep.
You know, we don't need to get into what all of that is, but you know, the process was never, you have moments where you kind of reach the what you think is like the top of the mountain, but it's always a false peak, you know, and then you're straight back down into a valley and you're just climbing again. And it feels like, who is this? Sisyphean. It feels like it just never ends. So it was a very humbling process. What I would say is if I had to make my pitch for why people should watch it, my hope is that the movie is very moving and personal, and that people kind of like are open to a movie that's about hope and overcoming, because that's what the story is, but the story behind the story was a lot of that. It was just not quitting, because there were a million times where I could have quit because it was just insanely difficult or demoralizing or humiliating or any number of those really sort of those demons that you get in your head. And so the movie is kind of the love letter to just not giving up and not quitting, and then kind of what you experience when you don't. Yeah. There is a real sort of euphoria. There's a real release. There's a real kind of like, I don't know, like a sense of, I don't know. Well, it's a very specific feeling. It's probably something like an epiphany or something like that. But the movie is about hope, and it's about not giving up. And I just hope people are moved. That's all I want. I want people to be moved.
You know, I can't stress this enough. Everybody should give you an hour and a half of their time. Sit back, relax.
Well, I'd be honored if they did.
Absolutely enjoy it. And in all honesty, watch it tonight. Tell your friends about it. Make them watch it. We got to support our own in this valley. And I can't be more proud of you and not going broke. You know what I mean?
Well,
well, you're an artist, right? I did have one question while we wrap this thing up.
Please.
Who was the poem that they read?
Robert Frost.
So to bring it all back around.
Yep. It was Robert Frost, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Which, you know, if people are curious, you look it up, you can see what it's about. It's very, very thematically related to what the movie is about. And a lot of people don't probably realize that. Maybe some will engage with it, maybe some won't.
Yep.
I think on a surface level, it's just a good vibe for that moment in the movie. But on a sort of deeper philosophical, whatever level, it is not arbitrary. That's what I'll say.
Magnificent. So this has been Chopping It Up with Keith Saarloos and Carlisle Eubanks, our local legend. Go watch the movie tonight. When you see him over at El Rancho or somewhere around town, go and slap him on the back and tell him he did a great job. Back to your regularly scheduled, but it's a great place to raise your kids. It is as beautiful as it possibly can get right now, around this time of year. The food is amazing, but from me to you guys have been such a cornerstone in who we are as Saarloos and Sons, or our whole family. And you guys have continuously leveled up. I've seen you guys react to so many different things and take a, as my old man would have said, a setback is just an opportunity for a course correction. And I've seen you guys do that over and over and over again, and seeing you guys succeeding over in Buellton, right across from the old Steve's Tire, now Buellton Garage, right there in the back behind O'Reilly's. It just makes me happy. And I'm really, really, more than anything, I'm really proud of you guys. But it's easy to be proud of people who show up and knock it out of the park every day. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, without that connection in 2008, we wouldn't be here. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And to just be a small part of your guys' journey has been really, makes me feel like, hey, man, maybe we did something right. In general, we constantly are trying to be better or trying to do this or that. But going back to that original conversation, when someone goes, hey, this is a really great marketing idea. And I'm like, this was not a plan. It just happened. And it happened organically. And here we are 16 years later. More than proud of you guys. Still
Thank
cranking.
you. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
So everybody, this has been Chopping It Up with Keith Saarloos on Crazy Country 105.9. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And if you have someone that you think should be on this show to promote themselves, to tell their little valley story and get a few more people through the front door, in all honesty, send me a text. I'm at Saarloos and Sons, SAARLOOSANDSONS on Instagram. But most likely you already have my number saved in your phone. So throw me a text, give me someone's name, connect us so we can have them on the show. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Have a great day, everyone.